Well, hello. Welcome to another streamy stream of steamed, hammed, streamy proportions. Don't worry about the whole green screen aesthetic. It's not really important. It's just because I still had it up from other stuff I've been doing. So don't mind it. So I was gonna make this into a video upload, but I did not want to take the upload space as I'm gearing into the next sector of this channel. Little announcement videos like this I'll try to keep as live streams rather than uploads, since I'm trying to keep the main channel pretty clean of random, needless, frivolous uploads. So that's why we're doing this live instead of like a whatever Wednesday. We'll be streaming again later tonight for those of you looking to the reaction stream. But we do need to talk about some stuffs. We do need to have a chatty poo. We need to have a little talk. Also, shout out to Curtis for membering up. So, behind me, if you've seen my latest video, you already know this. Long live pop punk. Coming next year.
Somebody new? Welcome.
Thanks for the sub. Go ahead and get this. Thanks for the sub, Tyler. But I want to talk about a lot of stuff that led into this album happening. And yeah, we gotta unravel some stuff. So first of all,
thank you for joining the
let's give a shout out to the new cult member.
Enjoy the merriment and gratuitous amounts of butt stuff. New cult member, I am aiming friend.
So, okay, I had to let you know, I have an album called Weirdo that is, I should say, not like as if it just didn't exist. About 90% done. It's got some mixing and a few spots that needed recorded, and that was it. The album was from front to back. Every instrumental was made custom. A lot of experimental stuff. There are some people within my inner circle who have heard some songs from the album and know what I've been working on. And I'm not going to release it. It's like practically done, and it's not coming out. I think a couple of the songs might randomly sneak their way into Spotify Saturdays, because every Saturday I upload new music. But I mean, the whole thing was like a complete concept as well. Like every song title, when read in order, told the story of the album. So like the song titles, if you read them as a sentence, it gave the story of the album. And yeah, it was the entire premise of the album. A lot of what I was doing was every bit of this album will be me. There will be no features. I will make every instrumental. There will be no loops. I will do the engineering. Every video I will do on my own. It was like this whole like, I'm gonna do this weirdo thing, and yeah. Then as I got done with it, I just realized that it was really a step back from where I had just left off. After the tone was made as me like venting about a bad situation, but ended as me starting to move on from that bad situation. And when I made this Weirdo album, I realized it was me still stuck, not moving on from that situation. Because when I started music, my goal, my intention was to be a singer-songwriter. And I always thought of myself as someone who might construct basic melodies and stuff, but generally I would be the one singing and writing the lyrics, and someone else would be doing the music, whether that be a production team, a band that I started to work with, or something else. I actually started learning instruments more intensively and how to produce music as a result of the things that I talked about in my old music project After the Tone in the album that talks about it. And it was really just me because I couldn't get the record deal without that other person. My own insecurities came in, and I decided there was just a switch in me that if I didn't make every bit of the music, I wasn't really a musician worthwhile, right? Since me as a singer and a songwriter wasn't good enough for that label, I needed to bring something else. And even very recently, you would probably hear me say things where I hint and show more respect for my own songs when I made all the instrumentals. And just having this, like, this tower I've put that on, of if you do everything yourself, it's suddenly magically better. But I think a lot of that had to do with me trying to prove to other people and myself that I could. Because it's not really like where my biggest passion is in composing. I like composing well enough, but really after I've made the melody, the rest of it gets very tedious for me. And I found that when I was making Weirdo, by the time I got done with the last instrumental and the time I was wrapping up that album, I didn't even like the songs anymore, not because they were bad, but because I was just so worn out by the process. I was so exhausted by just doing a bunch of stuff that was work rather than stuff I enjoyed. And I just took a step back thinking, wait a minute. When I got closure from this After the Tone project, I should have been taking a step forward as an artist. And for me, a step forward isn't going back to trying to prove to everyone I can do everything, because I know I can, but I should be making music that's authentic and that I enjoy from the creation to the release. And that wasn't the case with the project that I'm ditching before I ever announced it, even though it's pretty much done. Like I said, some of the songs I'll probably release as weekly singles on Spotify, but I'm scrapping the project as a whole. So, that brings us to the project that is underway now, which is Long Live Pop Punk. My favorite genre of music to create and be involved in is pop punk. And I can make decent pop punk instrumentals if I want to, but I don't like doing it. I don't enjoy it at all. And I really feel like the next step for me as a musician is to put behind this insecure need to do everything myself and just make the music I want, even if that means having someone else do most, if not all, of the instrumentation, and I'm just the singer-songwriter, because that's what I set out to be originally. That's what I was going to be with the After the Tone project. And somewhere along the lines, I just got so insecure in myself that I felt being a singer-songwriter wasn't enough, and I had to do everything. And I need to take a step back from that now that I know what all happened there, and just do a project I enjoy. So Long Live Pop Punk is what I'm talking about here, and Weirdo was the album's name that I scrapped for someone who was asking. Long Live Pop Punk is, I already know who I'm getting to produce it. The producer's name is IOF. That's what he goes by. He produced the instrumental to the song I'm Sorry I released. If you saw that, the song called I'm Sorry. Oh, you want the track list of Weirdo? Yeah, the track list of Weirdo was Weirdo left you a note. You answered, please leave me, sound the alarm, burn what I wrote. It's my fault, I tied the rope, I meant no harm. That's the sentence, poetic sentence structure that the album had. And each of those separated at specific points were song titles. But going back to this, so I got a producer that I want to work with, and that's why there's a goal below me that we'll be working on for the next week or so. Yeah, it was a decent sized album that I scrapped. So if we don't hit the goal, I'll find other means to fund what I need to fund. But basically, this is going to paying the guy who I'm hiring to use his instrumentals. I'm not having him make custom exclusive instrumentals. He's not available for that right now, but he's got an existing library of literally hundreds of instrumentals that I am in love with. The hardest thing for me is going to be choosing the ones that fit the songs I want to do. I'm also planning on bringing on board other artists who may or may not be big in pop punk, but I want to see what they can do. And I'm just going to have a lot of fun with this album. And I'm going to... The first Pop Punk is Dead. Anyone who's been around, the first pop punk album I did will know that I called that album like glorified karaoke because I didn't make the instrumentals. And I held that like on my head like, yeah, people like the album, but I didn't really do anything except for make the instrumental for one song, so it's not even my album. And that ended up being pretty true of the project because even a lot of the songs that I made on it were either old songs or semi-lazily written. And that's not my intention for this album. This album, I want to make a genuine album that goes back to what I was wanting to do when I was doing After the Tone. When I did After the Tone, I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. That was my goal. And I never had interest in making the instruments from the ground up. Because at that time, I couldn't even play guitar or do anything. Except for piano. I didn't know how to produce. I just
30% of your
thanks,
donation to
JAA.
the scheme will go to fund.
I didn't know how to produce. I just threw stuff together that I could pitch to labels. That's what I did.
What's this? Somebody new? Welcome, new butt brother.
And it's time to do what I've always wanted to do. I think after the Tone and closing that chapter, I'm able to do that. So I was just wanting you guys to know, and I didn't want to clog up my video feed with a video on this. I'm going to take questions in a second on anything to do with anything. But I did want to let you guys know that this next album, I am deliberately producing 0% of it. A producer named IOF is producing all of it. And that way I can focus on just making songs I love and being a singer-songwriter, audio engineer, which is what I love to do, instead of begrudgingly making instrumentals just to prove to people that I can. And I have a feeling that that's going to be a combination that you guys are really going to like because the producer that I'm using is extraordinarily talented at pop punk vibes. He's a lot better than I would be at it. And it's going to be expensive as hell. So I'm going to need your guys' help because otherwise I'll end up having to get... otherwise it'll just take a lot longer to come out because eventually I'll get the money to do it. But I'd like to try to get it out early 2022. That's why I have the goal for the next week and a day, but you'll see that on all of my live streams. But now that we've gotten out of what I'm talking about, which contradicts a lot of stuff some of you guys might have heard me say, because I've always been big on making all your own instrumentals, but the reasoning for that has been pretty toxic. But what questions do you guys have about this project or just anything in general?
You for your money.
Mix King! $20. He says, you're great with vocals and you're great with instrumentals, but it's important to do what you love to do, and that's vocals. Never feel pressured to do everything. You're very talented, but it's a lot. It's not a lot, but I hope it helps. It definitely helps. It's the first chip at the overall goal, and I appreciate it. I'm trying to free myself into doing what I've always actually wanted to do, and it's very uncomfortable for me to make an album and have one of the purposes of the album is not making any of the instruments on it. That's not easy for me. It used to be what I wanted to do, and now it's just really difficult for me because I have 12 plus years of stigmatizing myself into if you don't make everything, you're shit, which came from a label ditching me because as a singer-songwriter, I wasn't good enough to them without my other bandmate. And I'm really trying to move forward from that mentally. But let me see if there's any questions from earlier that I missed. I don't see anything. Oh, Tyler said, what's the 3K goal for exactly? 90% of that is to pay IOF, the producer, for unlimited rights to the tracks. I'm not going to do exclusive things because he's got a lot of money on putting these beats on YouTube. So they might be stuff that if you're really into listening to stuff on YouTube, you might recognize some of the instrumentals. He did the instrumental for Todd and Postcards beat. But unless you're like hunting for instrumentals online, you won't have heard these before. But yeah, paying him so I can have unlimited usage and unlimited royalties on it on streaming platforms is the main thing that's going towards. If we hit the whole goal, that would also make it so I could do like a CD run and tape deck USB run as well, and have that be released as easy and low cost. But it's mainly to pay the guy to produce the album. If we hit the full amount, then we're talking the difference between a 8 to 10 track album that takes me 6 months to produce because I have to pay for it over time, and a 12 or 13 track album that I can get done and have ready to release by first quarter next year. That means before March of next year. So money talks, especially when you are releasing the reins of production of the music.
Scheme thanks you
Nikki
for
with the
money.
dollar. Because you are our voice, be true to you, and you will be loud and clear for us. Thanks, Nikki. I appreciate the poetic words in your donation. But what? I don't see questions. So does headcanon work here? Can I believe We Scheme, Bling, Once Upon a Loser, and After the Tone is a quadrilogy? Oh, you're trying to get the canon. Not really. I mean, We Scheme, the self-titled album, really isn't about anything. It's just me introducing myself as an artist. Bling is about my experience with medications for mental illness. Once Upon a Loser is about my childhood through high school. After the Tone is about my college years pursuing late high school and college years pursuing being a musician full-time. And then Pop Punk is Dead isn't really about anything either, aside from liking pop punk. Long Live Pop Punk will have a lot more story elements to it and be telling a story like my other albums. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that is right now. I do have it in my mind where the album's going to go, and the song that I've released now is a good indicator of that. The song I've already released, I'm Sorry, talks a lot about me dealing with the idea of letting someone else produce music for me. So if you listen to that song again, if you've heard it and you listen to it again and think about it through the lens of relinquishing artistic control to someone else in that regard and being very insecure in doing so because you think you have to do it all yourself, you'll see that riddled throughout that song. But this is going to be a lot different than Pop Punk is Dead. In sound, there'll be a lot of similarities, but the content of this is going to be a lot deeper. Pop Punk is Dead, if I had to say there was a story, it's a story about growing up and facing your mortality, right? Because a lot of it is reminiscent of childhood, feeling old, and just facing death. That's what Pop Punk is Dead was about as an album. You saw that a lot through Sideshow, Sunday Morning, Generation Y, but then there was a lot of random stuff there too. There's always cohesiveness to my albums, but Pop Punk is Dead wasn't as intentional about it as a lot of my other albums. But Long Live Pop Punk will be, because I'm not treating this as a pop punk karaoke album like I did the last one. This is much more of an attempt at personal growth and evolution through doing what I always wanted to do. Is there a sense of continuity when it comes to your albums, like a storyline? Because I believe there is. Within each album, I think I just kind of went over that. What each album's about. They don't necessarily link one to the other completely all the time, but there are definitely connections. Oh yeah, I'm Sorry and Sorry are two different songs. Sorry from Pop Punk is Dead is not the same as I'm Sorry. But if you guys don't have any other questions or whatever, I'll jump off here. This stream was just because I didn't want this to be a video upload. I didn't want to clog the upload feed with this. I just wanted to talk to you guys like this. I'll leave the replay up if anyone missed anything. Question, can you start lactating to help with the baby who won't go to sleep? No, I cannot, unfortunately. What's the story behind Sorry? That's from... Sorry is from high school, I think that was what it was from. Yeah, high school confusing relationship with a lot of betrayal that I apologized for. Sideshow is about dying, and well, not really. That's what happens in Sideshow. But Sideshow is about being the loser in a group of friends who have you around just because you're entertaining to them, and then dying. What was the story behind Do It for the Doge? Dogecoin. Still don't get what scheme means. It means a lot of things. Scheme is slang for rhyme scheme. It's, spelled wrong, as well as scheming and plotting spelled wrong. But scheme spelled as it is means family or think, depending on where you are, as slang, and it is spelled that way. So we scheme is we think together, we're a family together, we do cool rhyme stuff together, and we plot together. But I think I'm going to jump off then. Yes, Sideshow is about dying. That's what happens at the end. When the circus closes and you go to see your dad, that's meeting God. You dead. It's all symbolism, the whole song is. So, I'll see you guys around, blah, blah, blah. We're going to stream later tonight. On Twitch only. So YouTube, come to Twitch tonight. We're doing reactions to everything and anything, even UMG or WMG or whatever else. So we will be there. We'll be there tonight at 8. So I'll see you at Eastern. So that's in 2.5 hours. So in 2.5 hours, I will see you guys.